Hey guys, we are in the basement, and yes, can you believe it? I have a freaking Dragon's Lair. This thing is making me a very happy boy. Anyway, guys, today we're gonna do part number 12 of the Journey restoration. And let me tell you something, this is gonna be the last video where we are messing around with the electronics in that game. Because, you know what, by the end of this video, and I promise you, the game's gonna be 1000%. That cassette audio interface board is going to be completely fixed. And we're talking really fixed. No compromises here, guys. No thud, no hum, no buzzing, just smooth, crystal clear, buttery audio coming out of that thing. Because you know what? I really want it to sound right. And I want it to be like a very nice, pleasant transition when that tape player comes on. We can't have any kind of humming or thuds. So we're gonna fix all of that stuff in this video. And then we're also gonna install the free play ROM for Journey. Now my buddy Matt Osborne, who has a website called scoresaves.com, he created a a free play ROM for Journey that gives it free play. So we're gonna burn a ROM, we're gonna install that free play hack, and then we're gonna mount the PCBs on the plates. They're these big metal plates that hold the PCB. We're gonna install new edge connector ribbon cables, and really get the game done. 100% done. All the electronics are done. Everything's working as it should by the end of this video. And then we have no choice then. In the next video, we're gonna be moving on to the cabinet and just wrapping this game up. Really, so you know what? Enough of that. Let's get to the garage and let's get working on that Journey. Let's fix that cassette interface board once and for all. Put that free play in there and get those that PCB on those plates. So, all right, guys, let's go to the garage. All right, guys, here's where the Journey is. Now, listen. The last video was a lot of fun, wasn't it? You know, we pretty much installed, hooked up, wired up the audio interface board and the cassette player, and we really got it all working, and it was a lot of work, okay? But at the end of the video, we had some issues because we were getting some hum. Like this rumbly hum sound that came on when the tape player came on. Now, you guys gave me a gazillion suggestions and also said I did something wrong. You guys said I wired up the audio jack wrong, and we'll talk about that in a second. And I want to tell you something, though. I really did isolate the problem to be something with the power, because when I would disconnect the audio, I was still getting the rumbly sound, okay? So it wasn't the audio jack that was causing it, because when this was disconnected, we still got that sound, okay? And I do actually want to talk about something really fast with this audio jack, because this is mono, okay? And if you guys remember, we actually converted a stereo plug to a mono plug, and a lot of you guys said I did it wrong. And you know what? You guys were right, okay? And I didn't really think about this when I was doing it at the time, but if you look here, I drew a picture, okay? And I just want to clarify this before we move on, because this was a mistake that I made in part number 11 of the Journey Restore videos. However, it turned out not to be my problem, and it turned out that it didn't cause an issue, but it was technically wrong how I did it, okay? Because I converted a stereo, this is a stereo plug right here. A stereo plug basically has 3 different areas, okay? The bottom part of the plug is ground, the top part of the shaft here is either left or right, and then the tip is either left or right. So these are both signals, okay, left and right, and then this is ground. Now on a mono plug, the whole shaft below the tip is ground, and then the very tip is the signal, okay? Now when I was converting the stereo plug to a mono plug, I thought I needed to tie together left and right to make it mono, which does make sense, however, not in a physical plug like this, okay? So what I essentially did was I tied these two together to mono, which then effectively made my ground area too small, because on a mono plug, the ground part of it is the entire shaft. And so what I should have done was tied these two together so that the whole entire shaft was ground and just the tip was signal. But what I did was I combined these two, which effectively made my ground area too short. Now this ended up not being a problem, and it wasn't what was causing the issue. So it wasn't the issue at all, okay? So what I did was, and I just wanted to clarify here, you were right. I did do this wrong, okay? I should have done it where these two were tied together, not these two. And I did correct it, okay? I did go back to the cable and I rewired it, and the problem didn't go away. I still had that low rumbly sound, okay? And I was convinced that it was something with the power, okay? And I talked to CD Jump on Clove, and he was looking at the schematic, and he was telling me, you know, look at the voltage regulator and the caps. Maybe you need to replace all the caps. And let me just show you right now. Actually, no, yeah, okay. So you hear that little thud? It's gone. It's not doing it right now. It does it sometimes. So when I turn the tape on right now, I get a thud. But I did get the rumbly sound to go away, I think. But it's a little duh, and then the audio comes on. Hear that? So what we're going to do in this video, I need to tell you what I did too to get rid of it, and it's actually an interesting story. And by the way, yeah, I got my mixtape back in there because when I was testing this off camera, I was using this crappy Emerson tape player, and it ate my tape. So I tried fixing it. I took it apart. I need to make a new loop tape because it ate it. This thing is a piece of junk. I will not be using this ever again for testing. I was trying to determine if it was the player that was causing the hum, and it just wasn't. And I was testing with this for a short while off camera, and it ended up eating my tape. But anyway, let me tell you how I got rid of that rumbly sound, because you can see here, it's gone right now. It's not doing it. But what is happening is I'm getting a thud. Okay, so first of all, let me tell you how I got rid of the rumble sound that we had at the end of the last video. So I'm looking at this schematic over and over and over and over, and this is the schematic for the dual power amp with cassette interface, which is the board we've been working on in the last two videos. And I've just been looking at this and looking at it and looking at it, and by the way, this whole section right here, the bottom section, is the power section of that audio interface board, which I believe is where all my troubles are. There's a problem somewhere in here, okay? And I've been staring at this thing and looking at it and reading it and just trying to make heads or tails of it. And, you know, I'm not an engineer, guys, you know, but I'm trying to just kind of comprehend what it's doing. And CD Jump on Clove is also telling me to kind of look at this voltage regulator. You want to look at all the electrolytic caps, stuff like that, okay? And I keep looking at this, and I noticed that there's a name on it. It says Project Engineer C. Mednick, okay? Project Engineer C. Mednick. And I'm like, oh man, this guy's name's on here. And I'm looking at this one here. Here's his name again, Project Engineer C. Mednick. I'm like, C. Mednick. Boy, so this is the guy that designed this board. You know, I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if this guy's still around, right? So I Google him. I Google this guy. Turns out his name is Kerry Mednick. And he's the one that designed the cassette board that we've been working on. And I find his email address, and I decide to email him. I emailed him. I said, hey, Kerry, listen, I know this is probably weird that you're getting an email in the year 2014 about something you developed in 1982 or 83, but I'm restoring a Journey game, and I'm getting this rumbly sound when the cassette player comes on. I have attached an image of the schematic. If you have some ideas, I'd love to hear them. And guess what, guys? He replied to me, okay? So he replies back. I get an email back from him. I mean, how cool is this, by the way? I mean, this is the guy that designed the freaking board. I mean, there's no one on this planet more qualified to help me than this guy. And he sends me an email back. And the long and the short of it is, he thinks that we have a low frequency ripple on the 9.2 volt rail, okay? And he told me to look at U7N, which is the voltage regulator, and C402, which is an electrolytic cap, okay? So I get this email from him, and by the way, it's so freaking cool, right? And so I didn't have the voltage regulator on hand, but I did have a cap, C402. So I pulled the board out, and I replaced C402. Now, this was originally an axial cap, which is like kind of like an inline cap. So I put a radial cap on. You can see how I kind of have it installed, which is the right value. It's 100 UF, 16 volts. I put it in there, and I plug the game in, I turn it on, and the low rumbly sound is gone. It's gone. Do you hear it? Nope, it's gone. So it looks like that fixed it, but I'm still having issues, okay? I'm getting this little thud. Hear that? When it comes on. So I emailed Carrie back. I said, Carrie, I think that cap fixed it. And then but I said, I'm getting this thud, and he replies back to me, and he says that there's still something on the 9.2 volt rail. The cassette should be turning, the cassette could be turning on too quickly, bruising the rail, which will cause a thud. He tells me to check out C303, C301, and C302. Okay, so those are 3 more caps. And he also says, considering how many other bad caps you found, it wouldn't be surprising to find some more. Okay, so I'm thinking about all of this and what he has said so far, and also what CD Jump told me, because originally he was telling me to replace the voltage regulator, and now he's telling me to replace these 3 caps. So I think what we're going to do in this video is we're just going to shock on this thing, okay? I want to replace pretty much every part that's in this section of the circuit, and just see what happens, okay? And I'm also going to replace C303, 101, and 102, which he mentioned, which are up here. So what I did is I went on Bob Roberts' website, and I ordered all the parts that are in here, except for some of the tantalum caps. I couldn't find those. They have them on eBay, but Bob didn't have them, so I don't have them in time, so we're not going to replace those. But I think I'm just going to shock on this stuff, guys. I think that we need to figure out there's some kind of component here that's off spec. It's failing. We're getting this thud sound. I mean, I got the low rumbly sound gone, which is great, but I don't like that. Maybe we can improve on it. Right now, it's probably okay, and we maybe could live with it. I don't know. It might end up driving me mad in the end to keep hearing this thud. That sound. So why don't we just shock on this thing? And that way, I know I've got new parts. I don't have to potentially worry about it if we do fix it. So I think we're just going to replace all the parts. So why don't we pull the cassette interface board off and stick it on the bench? I'm going to do that right now. Let's just get to work and let's shock on this thing. Okay, we have the cassette interface board out, and let me again just kind of explain what we're going to do here. So again, on the flow chart, this here is the entire power section, and it's basically audio. This is the power coming in. This looks like the power coming out to the cassette player. So this is the circuit that handles all of that voltage, the voltage regulator, the caps that kind of smooth it out and quiet things down, the transistors that probably turn on or off to let the voltage out. So we're basically capping all of this stuff not capping, we're replacing all the stuff in here. We're going to replace these 2 voltage regulators, all the electrolytic caps that are in here, these transistors. So that's what we're going to do. We're essentially shotgunning this whole circuit. So if there's a problem in here, I'm probably going to find it accidentally, essentially, by just replacing it. And so that's what we're doing. And I went to Bob Roberts, and I ordered all of the parts, and he had pretty much everything except the tantalum caps that Carrie told me to get. I got those caps on eBay. These are the 10 UF, 25 volt, 10%. Tantalum caps, axial style, but the rest of the stuff, the electrolytic caps, the transistors, the voltage regulators, Bob Roberts had all of that stuff. I just basically emailed him, sent him a big list of stuff I wanted, and he had it all. So Bob is a wonderful resource for this. And, you know, you don't have to just order the kits that he sells on his website. You know, you can give him a list of parts, and odds are he has them, because these parts aren't easy to find. You can go on eBay, but what are you going to order? This from one seller, this from another seller? You know, I mean, it would take you a month to get all the parts in from all these various sellers and pay, you know, tons of shipping. I know websites like Mouser and DigiKey, you know, they have these parts too. I actually find those websites very confusing, and I'm never sure what I'm ordering is right, and I don't think the pricing is much different than Bob Roberts. So Bob Roberts is just the easiest way to order, I think. And his website is like the real BobRoberts.net. So, okay, so let's just get to work here, and I guess we'll just start with the electrolytic caps, which are these guys, these radial caps. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to replace this one. I've already replaced this one, but I use a radial, which is the wrong form factor, so we're going to use an axial. So, you know, this part here isn't too complicated. It's just like capping a monitor. You know, we're just going to desolder off the old caps and replace them with new caps. And so let's just get to work, and we're going to be using my soldering iron, my solder pullet to remove the solder, and I use some 6040 1mm rosin core super solder. I think I bought this on Amazon. It's fairly inexpensive, but so yeah, we just got to do this. And I mean, how cool is it, by the way, that the guy that designed this board responded to my email? I was just floored. But you know, I guess he kind of gave me some direction. I didn't really get a definitive answer from him on how to fix the thud, but we're just gonna replace all these parts. But he did really seem to fix that low rumble issue, and he nailed it. I mean, it was this C402 right here, and so I replaced that. So anyway, let's get to work here. I'm just gonna start pulling these electrolytics off here. Let me find my pliers here. And so let's just start here with C204, which is this guy right here. And, you know, we've covered soldering, desoldering, I think, many times in these videos, so this is really no different than what we've done before. Hopefully this isn't too boring, you know, desoldering and resoldering on these parts. Where is the end of the solder? Here it is. And I've already reflowed all the solder on this entire board. Cassette Jump thought that I might have had an issue with a cold solder joint, but I have literally reflowed every single joint on this entire board, and it wasn't the issue. And I'm just adding some new solder. I already added it, and now I'm just kind of desoldering this stuff. And these boards have pads on the top too, so I'm just going to kind of go like this. Okay, so now we've pulled one of the caps off, and this is what they call an axial style cap. I mean, yeah, axial cap that has you know, it's kind of like in line, whereas most caps are radial caps, where the pigtails are both on one end, and on a axial cap, you have a lead on either end, and positive is labeled. It's on that side. It's also labeled on the board here. Just make sure my I cleared out those. No, I didn't. So we still gotta clean these out a little better. Okay, so those are nice and clear. And let's take a look at the cap that we just removed. And this is a 470 microfarad, 6 volts, okay? So Bob sent me 470 at 10 volts, no problem. So you can use a higher voltage rating on these caps, but you cannot use a different microfarad value. And so let's double check again. So we pulled out a 470 microfarad, 6 volts, and we're going to replace it with a 470 microfarad, 10 volts, okay? And there is polarity on these caps. We have an arrow here pointing to negative, okay? So negative is on this end. And on the old cap, the arrow was actually pointing to positive. You see that? It's interesting. Yep, and this arrow is pointing to negative, so it goes in actually backwards. The arrow on this new cap is going to be pointing in the opposite direction of positive, whereas the old cap was pointing towards positive. Okay, we got the new cap in there, and we'll just come on the back side here and solder it in real fast. And again, you know, when soldering, you just heat up the part and then come in. I usually heat up on one side and then come in on the other side with the solder, and I usually touch the leg and the pad, the solder pad, together with the soldering iron, and then hit it with solder on the other side. Okay, so we got that guy in there. And I'm just kind of looking from the top here. It looks pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead now is I'm going to go ahead and replace the rest of these caps, and including that one too, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have replaced all the electrolytic capacitors, which are all of these guys right here, and here's the old ones, and they're all out. I actually have to trim the last one back, and I just kind of want to do it with you guys. Wasn't too bad, actually. So when you trim these, you know, you want to just cut above the solder. You don't want to cut the solder itself. And so, okay, so we've got all new caps. So the next thing I want to do is I want to replace these voltage regulators, which are like these transistor guys here. Each one has 3 legs. It's at U7 and U8. Excuse me. So U7 is a LM317, and then U8 is a 7805. And I'm looking at the flowchart schematic. And so what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to cut these off. And let's take a look at our new part. So here's the new one. This U7 gets the LM317. So it's pretty straightforward how it goes on here. Now this thing has like a heat sink on it, which I'm hoping I can reuse. We should be able to. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this off like so. Okay, and then let's see if we can get this heat sink off of this. I don't know if we will be able to. Oh, here we go. Oh, okay. So it kind of sits in there like that. So we'll reuse this heat sink. And so we just got to put this back in here. Yeah, we'll figure that out after we put the part on. So let me get a new one. And this is the LM317. Actually, we need to get the old one off first, because I just cut it off and we've got these 3 legs. When you have chips like this with multiple legs, ICs, it's usually better just to cut it off, because if you try to get all 3 of them soldered off equally the same and then try to yank it off, a lot of times you'll lift pads and stuff. So it's just always better just to cut it off. I know that seems kind of barbaric, but you know what? It's like a 50-cent part, and we're replacing it anyway. It's not like I'm going to reuse it, so just cut it off. Because I'm throwing all this stuff in the garbage. I'm not going to reuse any of these parts. Okay, so we're going to come in here and just kind of desolder this. And I do want to be careful here. I don't want to lift any traces on these small parts, because it can be easy. It's easy to do that with the small parts. And I'm just going to come in here and heat this up and just pull one leg out at a time. There's one. There's 2. There's 3. Okay. And I'm going to come in here. And let's take a look. Yep, and it's desoldered pretty well. So that's definitely the easiest way to get those types of transistors off a board. And so that's U7, that's the LM317, which is going to be this guy here. And it goes in this little shield, like so. See if we can reuse this. What's holding that in? Because it sure popped out pretty easily. I'm not sure. So let's bend these back, because they go on there at like a right angle. Maybe the board was just holding it on. These legs seem to be a lot fatter than the original. And this last hole here, looks like I need to try to clear that out a little bit more. Let's try it now. There we go. Okay. Now let's see if we can sneak the heatsink in here. Like so. I don't know if that's going to stay on there. Not really sure how this thing works. I wonder if I need to open this up and then bend the side tabs in to hold it. No. How the hell does this work? Doesn't make sense to me. What the heck am I missing here? I don't know how important this heatsink is. Probably can get away without using it, which I think I'm about to do. Yeah, you know what? Just screw it. Okay, I think it's in there actually. Okay. I don't really like how that's on there, but I think I'm just gonna forego that thing. Just kind of inspecting my work here. Don't want to screw this up. Yeah, I don't really like this. I think I'm just gonna throw that thing out. I don't want it. I don't think it's gonna cause a problem. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead now and do this one. So this one's got this little rivet here that's soldered on the back. So actually, let's do this together. So we're gonna desolder that rivet, hopefully. Might require a lot of heat. Wow. So I'm just putting like a ton of heat on this. There's like a little rivet that goes through that voltage regulator to the back, and the solder is just not at all sucking to this at all. I'm not getting it hot enough. Look at that. Boy, it's not doing anything. Actually, it did. All right, let's cut off the part. So let's get rid of this. Let's see if this thing comes off. Okay, so here's our little rivet. And the part, this is a 7805. Yep, it's supposed to be. And let's come in here and desolder this. Are we having fun? I know. I was really hoping that we wouldn't be doing this today and that we were actually doing woodworking. Not the case. I just got to get these electronics 100% before we move on. Because I want, once we're done painting that cabinet, I want to be done. I mean, I want to be able to say, okay, that's it. Put the game back together, throw it in the basement, done and done. I want to get all of this electronic stuff squared away before we move on to the cosmetics. And this restore is taking forever, I know. I think it's going to be so worth it when we're done. Okay. Let me clear these holes out. Take a look. Alright, they're cleared. Okay, so this thing was riveted to the board. And here's the rivet. Let's get our IC. So this is a 7805. And this rivet goes through here and then gets soldered. Okay, that actually looks pretty much how it was when I took it out. And let's go ahead and solder. This is a really tight space here. Legs are very close together, so I just want to be careful I don't bridge solder between them. I don't really know if this thing was soldered on here. Okay, so let's take a look at the top here. And the soldering looks pretty good. So I would say that that's in there. So I'm going to go ahead now and trim the legs back, because you can see they're a little long. So let's inspect our work. Looks like they're separated. I see the solder joints there. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. Let me grab my multimeter. Just gonna see if these are touching. Nope. No, they're not. Okay, so those are, I soldered those well, and they're not bridged. I put it on continuity, and I was just seeing if I bridged these two together, the legs, and I didn't. It's fine. All right, so those are in. We didn't get that heatsink back on here, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Okay. It's not like this game's going to be on 20 hours a day in a hot garage or something. All right, so we got the caps and the voltage regulators. And let's figure out what we're going to do next. I don't know if we're going to replace all of these little capacitors. I got a bunch of these. We'll see. I think I should. I don't even know if I need to do these transistors at the end here, Q1 and Q2. Because though, maybe I should. Yeah, why don't we? So Q2 is a 2N3904. So let's do that guy. So that's Q2, which is right here. And we're going to cut that off. So I'm going to come in and just cut it off. And let me just read what it says. 2N3904. Okay. And so let's go ahead and desolder all the legs that we just cut off. Another really small part. So not hard, just a little tricky. So it's this one. Okay. So we've got very small leg pieces in here that I think my solder sucker is actually sucking up. Let me see. Oh, no, there's still legs in there. Let's see if I can grab them with my pliers. I'm using my soldering iron to push them to the other side so I get a little more meat. And here we go. Okay, so one's out. Then I get them out. Yep, okay, so I got that transistor out. And that's Q2, looking at the schematic. Q2 2N3904, okay, 2N3904 from Bob Roberts. And these little transistors have polarity to them. You could see that it's kind of like a half moon, okay? And so one half, and then on the board you could see the drawing of the half moon. So there's a flat side here, do you see that? So I just want to basically match the drawing. Put the flat side to the flat side of the part matching the flat side of the drawing. And try to get all three legs in there. Okay. There we go. So we've got that in there. And let's come on the other side here and carefully solder that in. It is a very small part, so we got to just kind of be careful that we don't bridge. You don't want to use tons of solder on these. Okay. Just kind of inspecting my work. Looks pretty good. Okay, so let's cut it back. Cutting the legs off above the solder. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do Q1, which is exactly the same as Q2. It's actually a different part though. Q1 is a 2N2905, but it's the same exact method. So I'm going to go ahead and replace Q1 and be right back. Okay, so I got that transistor replaced. So we got Q1, Q2, the two voltage regulators, and all the electrolytic caps. And let's just kind of review. So looking at the schematic, we got U7, U8, Q1, Q2, C402 and C300. So C402, C402, C300, that wasn't even in this circuit, but we replaced it. 204 and 104, nope, those aren't in here. CP1, CP2, 220 microfarad, 0.1. I don't have those caps. So I got all these 0.1 microfarad caps that are CP2 through 7, and C400. So I wonder, let's see, where are those? C400, right here. I wonder if I should replace those. CP2 through 7, where are those? So C400 needs to be replaced. Basically, I'm just looking here. I want to kind of replace almost everything in this circuit, but I'm wondering how far do I need to go? Should I stop at some point and just test it out to see if it fixed the issues? And also, Carrie told me to look at CO3, CO1, and CO2, which are 302, C301 is right here. No, that's D301. Is it these guys? 305. Yeah, they're right here. So this is C302. This is 303. Let me see what Carrie said. Carrie said 301, 302, and 303, which is these three. That's 305. 301 is down here. I think I'm going to replace those just because Carrie suggested that I look at those. And we've got these 3 tantalum caps. What's C305? Is that also? Might as well replace that one too while I'm doing it. I'm looking at the schematic. Let's look at the parts list. C305 is 10 microfarad, 25 volts, which is these guys right here. So yeah, I think I'm going to desolder these caps, these 4. Shouldn't be a big deal. And these are, I guess, tantalum caps. I have to admit, I've never experienced these. Now, I noticed that there's a polarity on here. It's kind of like a bullet shape. See how it kind of has a cone in the front? And so that cone looks like it's pointing to positive. So we got to remember that when we put the new ones on, because they're kind of cone-shaped. And the positive, it looks like, is on the cone side. And they're all pointing right. And the board's also labeled positive. So let's pull those off. Just because Carrie recommended that I replace those, and, you know, he's the engineer, I think I'm going to take his advice. So let's go ahead and desolder these guys. And it looks like it's those right there. These are going to be kind of tough to get out, I see, huh? Looks like the leads are bent. I wonder if I should just cut that part off. I think I'm going to cut it off and then just work from the top. Okay, there's one. And there's the other. Okay, so that's C301. And it looks like I need to clear that hole out. This hole is a little stubborn here. Just put some more solder in. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So let's grab our new cap and throw it in. plus 25. Okay. Alright, so it goes like that, and again the bullet side goes towards the plus, which is how it was when I pulled it out, so we're going to do the same thing, putting it back in. And let's go ahead and hit that with some solder. Looks good. Okay, so I'm going to trim these legs off. Okay, so we have C301 replaced. I'm going to go ahead now and replace C302, and C303, and I will be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and replaced the rest of these tantalum caps, the 3 that Carrie told me to replace, which is C101, C301, C302, and C303. I also replaced C305 because it was the same value, and I had an extra one, so I just threw it on there. So I think we're going to stop now, and I was looking at the schematic, and I basically replaced all the parts in this circuit except for all of the 0.1 microfarad caps, and I didn't replace this 1 microfarad tantalum cap because I don't have it. I do have the 0.1s, and you know what? I'm kind of I'm cheating right now. I don't think I'm going to replace these. Let's just see how it behaves first, because there's a ton of these little guys, and Carrie never really told me to look at those. I got them just in case, just because they're in that power circuit. Everybody, you know, like CD Jump, they're all talking about the voltage regulators, and then Carrie mentioned these other ones too. So we might have fixed the issue. So why don't we put the board back in the game, and let's see what happens. And then we'll think about the other caps. Okay, so I just need to screw this guy back in. And I do have a ground wire connected here. I know that a couple guys in the last video mentioned that there's supposed to be a ground strap there, and you're correct. However, that's not causing our problem because I connected that ground and there's no change. So it's not an issue with that ground strap at all. Hopefully our work was good and the thing still works. Alright, let's plug this all in. That would suck if I broke it. I don't think I did, though. I hope. Alright, so let's turn the game on. And let's go in the front here. The game should be in test. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's go to the cassette player. Ooh. It's silent, guys. Well, it looks like we might have fixed it, though. I want to let the game stay on for a while. But look at that. It's smooth and quiet. That's a good sign. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna leave the game on for like an hour, half hour, and come back and see if it does it. Oh man, I hope we fixed it. There's no rumble. There's no thud. Oh yeah, that's smooth. That's buttery smooth right there. So, okay, let's leave the game on. So it's about 5:30. So why don't we come back around 6 o'clock or so and see how it's behaving? Because it seems like the problem rears its head later sometimes. It's not always, the problem doesn't present itself always right away. But this is a good sign. You know what I should do right now, though? I should make sure the game audio works still. Let's take it out of test and reset the game. Let me just turn it off. I want to make sure I actually put that cassette interface board back together properly. Let's see if it still works. Okay, it does. All right, good. Good. Okay, so the cassette interface still works. So I'm going to leave the game on for about a half hour or so, and we'll come back. All right, guys, we are back, and it has been 45 minutes, okay? The game has been on for 45 minutes, and let's see what happens. I just put it in test. We're going to have to wait here, so let's wait for it to get into test. It should happen pretty quick. I still haven't hooked up the slam switch, which I need to do. It's just with that one wire because I ran out of those amp pins. Okay, so here we are. We're in the test mode, and why don't we go down the cassette test? All right, guys, this is it. Look at that. Silence. No rumble, no abrupt thud, just the music. And it's slowly ramping up, I think. Look at that. We fixed it. I really think we did. Holy cow. That's right. So yeah, I think we did it, guys. You know what? I want to thank Carrie Mednick and CD Jump for just kind of encouraging me to replace those parts, and I think we did it. On. Look at that. No thud, no rumble. Oh, thank the Lord, man. Oh, okay, so that is a major milestone and hurdle, guys. I mean, the game's done, man. I mean, electronics are all done. There's a couple little detail-y things, though, I want to do right now. I want to burn the free play ROM for the board down there. And then I also want to put the PCB on the plates, okay, which are these guys right here. These are the plates the board's supposed to be on. And I think what we're going to do first, though, why don't we go in the basement and let's burn the free play ROM, and then we'll come back out here and we'll put the ROM in the PCB, and then we'll put the PCB on these plates, and then we are truly, officially done. I mean, we're done with the electronics. The game is perfect now, assuming that this cassette interface player board keeps working, and I think it will. I think we really nailed it. So anyway, let's go in the basement and let's burn that EEPROM for the free play. Okay, guys, we're going to burn us a Journey free play ROM. Now, Journey, from the factory, doesn't have free play. I don't know why. A lot of games do. Most games have an option for free play. Now, when I bring my games down here, I always put them on free play. Some guys do tokens, some guys do quarters. I do free play. And if a game doesn't have free play, I usually seek out to see if someone made a modified ROM, because a lot of guys did for these games, to enable free play on a game that doesn't normally have it. Now, my friend Matt Osborne, who has a website, scoresaves.com, he actually modified the Journey code to allow free play with a tract. And you gotta have a tract. That's like very important. Because like some of the Nintendo games, they have a free play mode, but it's stuck on a static screen, and you just don't want that. So Matt modified the Journey ROMs, the Journey code, to add free play. So again, his website is scoresaves.com. Matt Osborne's his name. He does a really good job, guys. He does free play and high score save kits for a lot of games. He does Time Pilot. I had the Time Pilot installed in my game, his mod. He does Gyrus. I have Gyrus installed in my game. He has the Gyrus high score and free play. He did Burger Time. I have that currently installed in my Burger Time game. He does Versus Super Mario Brothers. I also have that installed in my Mario. Versus Super Mario Brothers is awesome because it saves the high scores and adds free play with the tract. He also does Juno First, Arkanoid, Crazy Kong, Russian Attack, and he's working on Crazy Climber. Now, he doesn't list Journey on his website for some reason, so I'm not sure what to make of that. He actually sent me the modified ROM, so go to scoresaves.com. His email address is on there. Like if you click on one of the games, like if you click on Gyrus or Time Pilot, it takes you to this page. And on the bottom here, he's got his email address. It says, please email me. So if you guys want the Journey free play ROM, email him because he gave it to me. I don't know. But anyway, so I downloaded the ROM from him. He sent it over to me. And now we're going to burn it. We're going to burn it to a 2764 chip because that's what we need to use. And that's the size EEPROMs that they were using on the Journey game. So we're going to use my EMP10 to burn this. EMP10, of course, is a terrific EEPROM burner from, I guess, from the 90s. I think it's from the 90s. It's from the late 80s, early 90s or something like that. It's made by Needham. Needham actually went out of business, which is a bummer, but it's a great device. It is old school, though, because it doesn't really work in Windows. They did release a driver for it. The company has gone out of business, but before they closed, they released a driver that allowed you to use it in Windows in a window, but I never could get it to work. So anyway, I boot into DOS. It's connected, I think serial or parallel. I don't remember. I always forget. I always get them too. It's connected with a very old school connection. It's not USB. It's serial or parallel. So you need an older computer. I've got an old Athlon 800 here. So anyway, we're in DOS. I'm going to change directory into my EMP directory, and the software is called EMP10. And let's boot up. And I've done this many times in my videos. We've burnt ROMs, but it is something we need to do today, so let's do it. So it's establishing communication with the programmer, and here we are. We're in the software. So the very first thing that we need to do is we need to select the device, okay? And here's the device we're going to use. Now, this is already erased. I already erased this. This is actually a Nintendo Versus EEPROM. It was Duck Hunt originally, and I erased it. I reuse these ROMs all the time, and basically, to erase an EEPROM, you need a UV light. And I have an EEPROM eraser right here. And all you do is you just stick the EEPROM in here, close it up, turn the timer on for about 10 minutes, and then press this button, and you can see that little light that's on there? There's a UV light right now that would hit these EEPROMs, because the EEPROMs have a window, okay? And that's how you erase them. So all you need to do to erase the EEPROM is expose this window to UV light, and for about 10 minutes, and then it erases the EEPROM completely. So, but I already erased this. So anyway, the first thing you want to do is you want to load up your software, and then you want to select device, okay? And this is the device, this EEPROM. And I'm looking at, I'm trying to read the brand here. I'm having a hard time reading this. It's like all faded. I can't really tell what brand this is. That's okay. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go generic. We'll just select generic. Select device, and I'll just do generic, and then 2764. Okay, it says initializing programmer. Okay, so now we're ready. So now I'm going to take my EEPROM and we're going to stick it into our reader and writer. There is a right way and a wrong way. There's a little notch on the top of the EEPROM, if you guys can see that. See a little notch? And you want it to put it in the reader with the notch up, and then all the way in the bottom, like so. If you guys can see how it's in there. And that's it. So then once it's in, turn this timer off. Once it's in, we're going to come to our software, and the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure it's erased. Verified device is erased. It is, because I erased it before. I exposed it to UV light for about 10 minutes, and yes, it is erased. So you always got to make sure that the device is erased. Okay, so now we need to select our file, and I've already copied Matt Osborne's file to this computer. So I'm going to press V, and it says enter file name. I want to go into the G drive, and we're going to come into my Nintendo, my ROMs folder, which is 1_ROMs. And then I'm going to go to a folder I have called Osborne, for Matt Osborne. And then I have in here the Journey, which is right here, Journey 2D. So this is the EEPROM that's going to go in location 2D. So let's select that. Okay, so now we've kind of, we put the bullet in the chamber, but it's not, actually no, we actually pulled the bullet out of the box. And we put it on the table. It hasn't really been loaded yet, okay? So it's right here sitting on the table. Now we have to press 8 to actually load it, okay? And there we go. 8,192 bytes successfully loaded. So now the gun is loaded, okay? So you have to do those two steps. You press V to select the file, and then you press 8 to load the file from disk. And now we are ready to program. So I'm just going to go ahead again and verify erased. I'm going to load the file from the disk again, just because I'm being anal. And then we're going to come up here to number 1, program with selected algorithm, and hit enter again, and that's it. So now, oh. That must have been a bad EEPROM. That's unfortunate. Okay, so I need to find another EEPROM. Huh, must be a bum EEPROM. Let me see if we have another one we can use. Let me just take a look at the legs on here. You know, I just pulled this out of a box. Yeah, that's a bad EEPROM. I'm gonna go get another EEPROM. Be right back. Okay, I guess I don't have a blank EEPROM, so we're gonna have to erase some. So we're gonna use our EEPROM eraser, and it's pretty straightforward. We're just gonna stick our EEPROMs in here. You do need to make sure that there's nothing covering the windows, no tape, no stickers, no labels. The windows need to be open because we're gonna hit them with UV light. And if the windows are not open, they will not erase. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So we loaded up about 7 of them, and I'll just put these to the side as for future burns. So we gotta put our shelf back in. Maybe. And I might have this too loaded up. Arg. Apparently you can't put them that close to the edge. Which is weird because I always have put them in. Let's try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we got them all loaded up. And you can buy a UV eraser really cheap on eBay for like $10. This is a kind of a nice one. My friend Adam gave it to me. So I'm gonna put the timer on 10 minutes, and then we're gonna press the on button, and you can see the little blue light is on, and we're gonna come back in 10 minutes and check to see if those are erased. So I'll be right back. Okay, and the timer's up here, so let's grab an EEPROM. This one is I could tell it's a Hitachi 2764G Hitachi. So let's go back on in our software here and select this as the device. Let me turn this light off. So let's go to select device, Hitachi 2764, and it's a 2764G. No, it doesn't have that, so we'll just select 2764. And let me go ahead and stick this in my EEPROM reader writer. Okay. And let's go to verify device is erased. And it is. Good. Okay, so we're ready now. Let's try it again. I'm going to load the file just for the heck of it. And let's go to 1, programming the device. Okay, good. So we're going to let this go. It'll take probably about 30 seconds or a minute or so. And I just want to make sure it's actually writing. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, so we're going to let this go, come back in about a minute, and it should be done. And it will be done. Okay, it's done recording. It actually took like 3-4 minutes. It was a very slow burn. It all depends on the manufacturer and the type of chip. Some of them will burn really fast, like the newer chips. Some of them won't. It varies by device and manufacturer. So, okay, so it says device successfully programmed. And just to double check, we're going to go to verify device equals buffer because we loaded Matt's free play ROM into the buffer. So let's make sure the buffer matches the device. And it does. And by the way, it does verify at the end of the burn, but I'm just kind of double verifying. Let's triple verify. Let's quadruple verify. So yes, it's done. Okay, so let's pull the EEPROM out. And what I like to do is put a label on it. And this is 2D. And that way it kind of stands out against the other EEPROMs as being something that was... I'm going to do 2D free. So that way if someone looks at the board later that's not me, they'll know that this EEPROM 2D free is different and not factory original. So, okay, so let me find some scissors here. So I want to cut this down. Actually, let's just go into the garage. I'm going to cut this label down. We'll stick this on, and let's put this on our board. Okay, we got the label on our EEPROM, our free play hack thingy from Matt Osborne. Thanks, Matt. And so this goes at 2D, which is going to be on the middle board, which is the CPU board, I believe. So D2 is right here. And all we got to do basically is just pop off the original and then stick our new EEPROM in there. And I'm just going to come in here with a screwdriver and gingerly take the old one off. Oh, look at that. That was repaired? That's interesting. What happened here? Ah, I just took a piece of the socket off. Ah! Look at this. A part of the socket just came off. Are you freaking kidding me? Well, that's a first. How is that even possible? Oh, for God's sakes. Damn it. How the hell is that even possible? Look at that. It came right off. Alright, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do here because I just ruined the socket. I know that CD Jump replaced these sockets. These are brand new. And, yeah, this sucks. Oh, fuck. I don't know if I can get this leg back in here. And just solder it back on. That's weird. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, I fixed it. Close call there, but apparently the leg on this EEPROM holder, the socket, the solder pad on this side was gone. Okay, and I looked here, and it looks like there's a 5-volt rail that goes all the way across here, and so we definitely needed to have that in there because it's supplying voltage to that leg on the EEPROM. And so I soldered it in. The solder pad is actually on the top, and it looks like I got it. And I tested it with continuity here, and these two are connected because they should be. Because if you guys can see, there's like a 5-volt rail that goes right across here, and it basically connects these two legs together because these top two legs are the voltage for the chip. And so if I come in here with my multimeter. And I have continuity between those two. So, all right, we got it fixed. No big deal. Just a little bit of a scare there. Okay, so we need to put our EEPROM back in. And it goes in D2 right here. And when you put EEPROMs in, there is polarity to it. There's one way they need to go. You can see the EEPROM has a notch on the top here, and the notch goes up on this board here because you can see all the notches on these EEPROMs are facing up. And then also on the artwork silk screened on there, there's a little drawing with the chip, and you can see the notch there. So the notch goes up. Okay, so that's in, right? That's D2, 2D. Okay. All right, so now the last thing that I need to do is we need to get this board on the plates, okay? Because originally it was on these plates right here, and this is not an easy task actually, because it's a very, very confusing puzzle how this goes on here. And these plates here were from my Tapper PCB, because I traded a Tapper PCB with CD Jump. I gave him my Tapper PCB, and he gave me a Journey, and I gave him some cash too. But he told me to keep my plates, which is good, because I want to use these for the Journey, because the board's supposed to be on these plates. And when the PCB is resting in the cabinet, these plates here kind of bear all the weight of the board, instead of the board itself, you know, resting on itself. It's just a better setup. So we got to make heads or tails of it, how this goes on here, and really this sucks. But when I removed the plates from the Tapper, though, I did write what went where. So on the top here, the SSIO goes. So why don't we grab that board? Okay, so here's our SSIO. All right, so this goes on the top, like so. Okay. This is our SSIO, right? Yeah. Okay, so this goes on the top. And let me get my screws. And hopefully my little notes I put on here will help me, and we can figure this out relatively easy. So this goes on here like so. So guys, after we get this on here, we're done. We are done. The game will be 100% working and put back together, and we can now officially move on to the cabinet. Okay, so CPU parts side. All right, so this is the CPU board. CPU parts. So this goes on here like this. Now CD Jump has these little standoffs on here. We gotta get these off. I'm gonna cheat. I'm just gonna cut them off. Okay, so CPU parts, and this goes like this because the power connection is going to be on that side. Okay. So that goes like that, and then I think that we need the long screws here. No. Oh, this goes from this side? How does this go? I hate this setup, man. So let's think about this. VidGen solder. Alright, I gotta get these standoffs off of here.
Swim too deep.
Okay, we have the PCB on the plates, and man, thank God I took notes and wrote notes on these plates saying which board went where, solder side, part side, because this really is one of the most confusing things you can do. I had to put one of these together on my discs of Tron, and I didn't really document it before I took it apart, and I sat there for like an hour one day trying to get it back together. But anyway, I also put new ribbon cables on. Now, the ones that I had on here were fine. These are SCSIs, and they have 2 rows of pins. You only need one, so you're going to use one of the 2 on each side. But, however, you can't use these SCSIs with the plates because they're too fat, and they hit these posts right here. So I had to replace the ribbon cables if I wanted to use the plate. You can grind the posts down like a Dremel tool or something to get the SCSIs on there. But Ripter at Twisty Wrist Arcade just came out with these reproduction ribbon cables, and so I'm using those, and they're thin and they don't interfere with the posts on here. So, and I inspected my work. I wanted to really make sure I put those on right, because this, if you do this wrong and one of the legs doesn't get in or it's just not lined up right, this will wreak havoc on you. And I really want to double check my work to make sure all of the legs, the pins are in the cables, and everything's lined up right, and I think it is. So we're ready to put this back in the game. The one thing I do want to check, though, is the dip switch settings. Oh man, I hope that... Yeah, this better be the only dips. Oh, there's 2 here. I want to go on Twin Galaxies and see what the official settings are. 1 second. Okay, actually, I went to Twin Galaxy's website, and the settings that we need are not actually controlled by the dip switches. It's actually in the on-screen menu. The dip switch settings are mostly for coin, 1 coin per credit or 2 coins for a credit, upright cocktail, stuff like that. So the game settings themselves are in the on-screen menu, in the service menu. So, okay, let's get this board back in here, and of course, whenever you mess around with stuff like this, there's always a risk that this isn't going to work, that I did something wrong. We got a new EEPROM. I put new ribbon cables on. So let's all say a silent prayer that this thing still works. I broke that leg on that chip. All right, so let's get the power connected first. Okay. Yeah, see, now it really fits in there nice on that plate. That's good. Okay. So let's make all of our connections here, if you guys can see, but trying to find a spot to put this camera where it's not in my way. This thing's always in my damn way. There we go. All right. I actually like having the camera because of the light on it, and it actually always helps me see what I'm doing, because it's like I always have good light. All right, so the video cable goes over here. I think I need to make video connections where I can see what I'm doing here. The video cable, you gotta remember, always goes on the middle board on these MCR games. It's confusing because you can plug the video cable. It'll plug into the top board if you try, and that's wrong. Okay. There's that one, and then This one is our sound, which is going to be here. And then this one goes on the bottom. Okay, so we're all hooked back up. All right, guys, we're ready to see if it still works. Press play. Oh, by the way, I just made another cassette, so we're not using the mixtape anymore. Ready? All right, let's hope this thing still works. Do, and it does. Good. Let's just test it out real quick. Got sound. All right, good. Thank the Lord. Controls work. All right, so the one thing I want to do, I want to put it in test and let's make sure the cassette interface still works. All right. Do. Test. All right. And let's go with the cassette. I might have the volume too low or high. Hang on a second. I had the pause button hit. Look how buttery smooth that is, man. It's silent. There's no thud. There's no rumble. It freaking works, guys. Sounds pretty good, right? Look at that. On. Ramps up real nice. Ramps down. Look at that. I'm so happy about that. All right, let's look at our machine setup here and see what the settings are. 1 credit extra. Yep, that's default. Okay, so this is all the Twin Galaxies settings. The Twin Galaxies was 3 men, first at 20, second at 40, and difficulty level 3. That's it. Okay. All right, guys. Well, you know what? That's going to do it for this video, man. We are done. I mean, we're done, guys. The game is done. I mean, we have fixed it. We have fixed everything. Oh, do we have the free play? I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice. Forgot we put Matt Osborne's free play chip in there. Yep, okay, it says down here, free play. See that? I forgot we even did that. Free play, press 1 or 2 player. All right, good, so we don't need to coin up anymore. Thanks, Matt Osborne. And by the way, check out his website at scoresaves.com. Great guy, does good work, and free play, press 1 or 2 players. Awesome. Matt Osborne, you are the man. So, okay, guys, that's it for this video. We are done. Done. This game is done, guys. We have wired everything. It all works. There's no bugs. It sounds good. Oh my God, I can't believe it. It took a while though, didn't it? It was a lot of freaking work, believe me. I mean, to think that this thing started out as a jammed Taito US Classic golf game, and here we are today, months later, but it all works 100%. The audio works, the cassette player works. We made a harness. We started with a Tron harness, but we wired it all up. It looks really nice and neat inside. I'm actually very proud of the work I did here, guys. You know, this was not trivial, okay? It was not. we did a lot here, man. Let's just kind of look at our work, because I'm proud of myself right now. We got the PCB on the plates, we got new ribbon cables, we got the cassette player all working, we even made a cassette, we got the sound interface board all wired up, we fixed that. There's no thud, there's no rumbly sound, we rebuilt it. We are in great shape now, man. This is a solid game. It's probably going to be reliable for a long time with the new ribbon cables, the rebuilt cassette board. CD Jump put new sockets on that board. We got a switching power supply. I'm very happy right now. So in the next video, we have no choice but to start working on the cabinet, because that is all we need to do now, guys. We need to Bondo this cabinet up. You know, we'll just touch up some of this stuff in here. We got to fill that in, and we're going to paint it navy blue. I got some good paint from Ace Hardware, and we're going to go to town on this thing, paint it blue, make it look really nice, put the side art on, and then we're done. This game is going in the basement, so what a relief, honestly. So, okay, I want to thank you guys for watching. That's going to be it for this video. We did a lot. We accomplished a lot. I feel great how this video is ending. So, and by the way, the tape player should go on during the attract. I wonder if we'll hear that. But anyway, that's it, guys. Let's go back down to the basement. Oh, man. So happy. Oh, it looks so good, doesn't it? All right, guys, let's go down. All right, guys, there you have it. What do you think? We did it, right? We fixed the freaking Journey. The cassette interface board is working. I'm so happy. I want to really thank CD Jump and Carrie Mednick for giving me some direction there on rebuilding that cassette audio interface board. I mean, how cool is it that the guy that freaking designed the board, Carrie Mednick, emailed me and told me what parts to kind of look at? I don't know. I'm kind of floored by that. So anyway, I hope you guys liked that video. And yeah, in the next video, we're going to be starting the cabinet because we have to move on now because the Journey is 100%. It is all working as it should. It plays nice. It sounds nice. So now we need to get that cabinet looking really great. And so in the next video, we're going to dive right in with Bondo and paint and all that good stuff. And I think the cabinet's going to go relatively quick. I mean, compared to what we've been through with the electronics, that cabinet's going to be a walk in the park. So anyway, that's it, guys. You know, I release new videos on Sundays and sometimes in between. And if you've never subscribed to my channel, now is a terrific time. Go ahead, press that subscribe button. I mean, if you made it to the end of this video, like, you know, 2 hours of this stuff, you're the kind of guy that needs to subscribe to this channel because I release videos just like this and game reviews and road trips and all kinds of stuff. You know, like Dragon's Lair, I just did a road trip to get my my new Dragon's Lair cab. So there's all kinds of good arcade fun and goodness going on in this channel. And if you want to keep up with it, you gotta subscribe. And then also check out my 2 podcasts. That's right, 2 podcasts. The first podcast is called Video Game Outsiders. I've been doing that podcast for 10 years. Can you believe it? And it's a video game console-centric podcast. And then I also have another podcast called Arcade Outsiders at arcadeoutsiders.com. I do both of those podcasts live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on allgames.com. And then during the week, you can listen on iTunes or Stitcher or anywhere that podcasts are found. Just do a search for Video Game Outsiders and Arcade Outsiders. And I guess that's it. So, hope you guys liked it. We'll see you very, very soon. All right, guys. Later and bye.